Ever feel that like wave of anticipation mixed with dread the second you even think about air travel?
Oh, yeah.
Well, today we're going deep into that, into those travel nightmares,
Okay.
all thanks to Travel Nightmares, Airport Fails, and TSA Drama. It's like our collective therapy session, all those airport fails, TSA Drama.
Right.
You're going to break it all down, find the humor in the chaos, and maybe, just maybe, we'll learn to, laugh at the absurdity of it all.
I love it. It's like a survival guide built on shared misery.
Exactly. Misery loves company, especially at Gate 37B when your flight's delayed for the third time. But seriously, what's so fascinating to me is how these individual travel hiccups, like missing your flight or losing your luggage,
Right.
they all add up to this universal experience, whether you're a seasoned business traveler or, someone dusting off their passport for that once-a-year family trip.
Yeah, absolutely. These sources, they really highlight what we all go through, the expectations, the frustrations, and sometimes just complete bewilderment.
Bewilderment is a good word. Speaking of which, let's talk about that moment. When you're heading to the airport and you're feeling all confident, like, I got this, I'm a travel pro.
Yeah.
Then bam, reality hits. Like that story in the book about the traveler who was so sure they had everything
Right.
until they reached for their passport. And it wasn't a passport.
Oh, no. The classic passport panic. It's almost a rite of passage, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sudden realization that you might have left the one thing you absolutely need.
Seriously, it's like your heart drops to your stomach.
Yes.
But it makes you think, what is it about that little piece of documentation that makes us feel so, I don't know, vulnerable?
It's like our entire identity, our ability to even exist in that travel environment hinges on it.
It's true. And speaking of feeling vulnerable, let's move on to, the TSA.
Ah, yes. The land of the unpredictable.
Seriously, the sources paint a pretty vivid picture of the whole airport security experience. You're just trying to get to your gate, but suddenly your toothpaste is suspect and your belt buckle is a potential weapon.
It's amazing how these everyday objects, things we don't even think twice about at home, they take on this whole new meaning in the security line. It's like a performance.
It is. And one of the sources, it has this hilarious skit about, well, imagine a TSA officer who's not just looking for prohibited items, but they're like analyzing the emotional baggage of your belongings. Like, is that water bottle half empty or half full? What's the backstory of that worn out teddy bear?
That's fantastic.
Right.
It's so true, though. There's that element of human interpretation in what's supposed to be a standardized process.
Right. It makes you wonder how much is really about security and how much is just, I don't know, the mood of the TSA agent that day.
Absolutely.
But okay, let's say you've made it through security. You're feeling cautiously optimistic, and then you see it.
The dreaded empty carousel. The last few bags circling.
And yours is nowhere in sight. Talk about a punch in the gut.
Oh.
The sources really nail that feeling. Going from, oh, they probably just put it on a later flight to, oh my God, all my stuff is gone.
It's such a helpless feeling. And what's worse is sometimes the airline response can feel so detached. Like they're saying, oh, don't worry, your luggage is just having a little adventure, while you're standing there in the clothes you've been wearing for 24 hours.
It's like, yeah, my luggage is on vacation, and I'm stuck here without a toothbrush. It's a special kind of torture. And it really shows how much we rely on those bags. They hold more than just our clothes. It's like a piece of our life is missing.
Absolutely. It's our comfort items, our essentials. And when that goes missing, it disrupts our whole sense of self.
It's true. Okay, deep breaths. We've tackled the passport panic. We've survived the TSA gauntlet. And we've hopefully retrieved our luggage. But now we face another travel hurdle, the one that tests even the most patient soul.
Delays. Flight delays. The bane of every traveler's existence.
And the sources, well, they don't hold back. From the domino effect of delays to the increasingly vague announcements to that feeling of collective despair among passengers.
It's like we're all in this together,
Yeah.
united in our frustration.
Yeah.
And sometimes all you can do is laugh. Like that story about the plane that just vanished.
Right. 1 minute it's on the departures board, the next, poof, gone. It makes you wonder if they just accidentally flew it to the Bermuda Triangle. But those announcements, the announcements, they start with an apology. Then they get progressively more vague, like, we apologize for the delay. We're currently experiencing a slight delay. What does that even mean?
It's the language of obfuscation, designed to To keep us calm, I guess, but really just adds to the frustration.
Exactly. You're stuck in that purgatory of the departure lounge. Gate C-17 becomes your whole world, and you're just praying they don't run out of those overpriced mini pretzels.
It's amazing how quickly our expectations change in those situations.
Yeah.
Suddenly, a $7 bottle of water seems reasonable.
It's true. Okay, let's fast forward a bit. We finally boarded the plane. We're in our seats, feeling a sense of cautious relief. But wait, there's one more potential travel nightmare lurking.
Ah, yes. The seatmate roulette. Will you end up next to someone who respects personal space? Or the dreaded chatty Cathy who wants to tell you their entire life story?
Oh, the sources have some real gems about this, from the armrest hog to the person who treats the flight like their personal karaoke session.
It's like you're trapped in this tiny pressurized tube, and suddenly you're forced into this bizarre level of intimacy with a complete stranger.
One of the stories, it describes this guy who's like providing a running commentary on the in-flight movie, even though he's clearly never seen it before.
It's incredible. It's like they have no awareness of personal boundaries.
Hmm.
Or, the classic sudden seat recliner, the moment the seatbelt sign goes off.
Right, like they've been waiting to unleash that lever of doom. It makes you wonder if there should be like a pre-flight etiquette course.
Maybe a little refresher on basic airplane manners wouldn't hurt.
Agreed. Now, let's imagine we've survived the flight, we've dodged the chatty seatmate, our ears have popped back to normal, and we're ready to deplane. But not so fast.
The deplaning stampede. It's like everyone's suddenly in a race to nowhere.
Seriously, the second that seatbelt sign goes off, it's like Black Friday at the overhead bins. People are pushing, shoving.
It's amazing how quickly that sense of order breaks down. Like, we all know we're going to get off the plane eventually. But for some reason, there's this primal urge to be first.
I think it's that feeling of wanting to reclaim control after being cooped up for hours, but it just creates chaos. And it makes me wonder, does anyone actually gain anything from this mad dash?
I doubt it. But it's a fascinating study in group behavior. And it leads us to, well, another classic travel experience.
Ah, yes, the culinary delights of airport dining. Or should I say, the culinary disappointments.
It's a gamble, isn't it? Will you find something edible? Or will you end up with a soggy sandwich that costs more than your first car?
One of the sources, it compares airport food to like something you'd find at the back of your fridge after a power outage. Vaguely familiar, but not something you'd willingly eat.
But sometimes you don't have a choice. You're hungry. You're tired. And that $15 Caesar salad is starting to look appealing, even if the lettuce is wilting and the croutons are more like bread pebbles.
Right. And you just know the minute you sit down with your overpriced meal, they'll announce your gate change, and it'll be on the opposite end of the terminal.
Of course. Because what's an airport experience without a little last-minute dash? Speaking of which, let's talk about the terminals themselves, specifically the art of getting completely lost.
Oh, yes. The airport terminal. A labyrinth of confusing signs, endless corridors, and moving walkways that seem to lead you in circles.
It's like they were designed to test your navigational skills and your patience.
One of the stories, it talks about this traveler who spent like an hour trying to find their gate. They finally ask an airport employee for help. The employee just points vaguely down a hallway and says, "Good luck." It's like a real-life choose-your-own-adventure game, but with higher stakes and less fun.
And let's not forget the fashion show.
Ah, yes. Airport fashion, where comfort and practicality go to die.
You see it all. From people dressed for a blizzard in July to those who look like they're about to climb Mount Everest. All within the confines of an air-conditioned terminal.
It's amazing. Like, what is the thought process behind wearing flip-flops and a parka? Are they expecting a sudden change in climate mid-flight? It's one of the great unsolved mysteries of air travel.
It is. And speaking of unsolved mysteries, we can't end this deep dive without addressing the enigma of airplane food portions, those tiny trays of what exactly?
Seriously, it's like they're trying to conserve resources by serving meals designed for, like, woodland creatures.
One of the sources describes the main course as, and I quote, a sad beige blob of indeterminate origin. I mean, it's funny, but it's also true.
It's the mystery meat of the skies. And those little plastic containers of something that might have once been fruit salad. It's like a culinary time capsule from a bygone era.
But somehow, even with all the delays, the lost luggage, the questionable food, and the occasional bizarre seatmate, we still keep flying. Why is that?
I think it's because at the end of the day, we want to get to our destination, whether it's for work, for family, for adventure. And the hassle, well, it's just part of the journey.
Maybe it's a reminder that even with all our technology and planning, there's still things we can't control.
It's true. So next time you're at the airport, feeling that familiar mix of anticipation and dread, just remember you're not alone. We've all been there. We've all experienced the chaos, the absurdity. And maybe, just maybe, if we can learn to laugh at it, the journey will feel a little less bumpy.
Who knows? Maybe we'll even start packing our own snacks.
Now that's a travel tip I can get behind.
Well said.
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into travel nightmares, airport fails, and TSA drama. Until next time, safe travels, everyone.
Safe travels.